Hi, Mark, and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on German politics. In its defensive struggle against Russia, Ukraine has asked the German government to supply it with Taurus cruise missiles. A corresponding request from Kiev had been received in the past few days. That was said by a spokeswoman for the German Ministry of Defense on Friday evening in Berlin. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that he would continue to seek support from his Western partners. We will do everything possible and impossible to speed up the delivery of more air defense systems of higher quality to Ukraine, as the head of state said in his evening video address that day. This is a daily matter in the truest sense of the word when working with partners. His country is making faster progress in modernizing its defense than was foreseeable 6 months ago. Details of the request from Kiev to the Ministry of Defense in Berlin about the cruise missile are still unclear, though. For example, the question of how many units Ukraine asked for. The German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Sonntagszeitung had previously reported on Ukraine's Taurus request, and a few days earlier, the Christian Democrat defense expert Roderich Kiesewetter spoke out in favor of deliveries, and he said, "The guided missile with a range of up to 500 kilometers enabled the attacked country to blow against the Russian military infrastructure far behind the front line." According to the German Bundeswehr, the Taurus is one of the most modern missiles in the Luftwaffe. Fighter jets pilots do not need to enter enemy airspace to launch it. The weapons therefore find their target from great heights and distances and can destroy bunker systems, for example. Thanks to 4 independent navigation systems, the air-to-ground guided missile finds its target very reliably, even in the event of enemy disruptive measures, says the Bundeswehr. If you want to know more, have a look on my military channel as well. Ukraine is already using Britain-supplied Storm Shadow cruise missiles with a range of 550 kilometers in the war against Russia. Moscow criticizes that the country can use it to attack targets in Russia itself. And during his visit to Berlin in the middle of the month, President Zelensky said that Ukraine does not attack countries, but needs weapons to defend and liberate occupied territories. He also announced the repatriation of Crimea, the Black Sea Peninsula occupied by Russia since 2014. And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz assured that the German weapons supplied to Ukraine would not be used on Russian soil. Russia attacked Ukraine, and that's why Ukraine can defend itself, he said on Friday during a visit to the Estonian capital of Tallinn. And at the same time, it is clear that the weapons we supplied will only be used on Ukrainian territory. And during a visit to Estonia, Chancellor Scholz also reaffirmed Germany's commitment to defending the Baltic NATO partners in the event of an attack. To put it bluntly here again, we are ready to defend every square centimeter of NATO territory against attacks. That's what Scholz said after meeting his colleagues Kajas Kallas from Estonia, Krišjānis Kariņš from Latvia, and Ingrida Šimonytė from Lithuania. And I mean it exactly like I say it, he said. Lithuania is hosting the upcoming NATO summit in July. Ukraine is pushing for NATO membership. Scholz, however, dampened expectations with regard to the meeting. The summit will mainly be about organizing concrete support for Ukraine in this situation. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galusin told the state news agency TASS on Saturday night that one of the conditions for peace is that the neighboring country does not become a member of NATO and the EU. Russia continued its attacks unabated. On Friday, for example, the Ukrainian General Staff counted at least 18 missile attacks on inhabited areas around Kiev and the Dnipropetrovsk region in the southeast of the country. And in addition, Russia has used missiles from the S-300 and S-400 systems, which are actually intended for air defense, according to the Army's evening report. And there were a lot of strikes since then, and we don't know when this will ever stop and when this war will stop. But Brazil's president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said during a phone call with Kremlin chief Vladimir Putin that his country, like India, Indonesia and China, is ready for a dialogue with both parties to the conflict. China's special envoy Li Hui was in Moscow for talks on Friday, and at the same time, the Wall Street Journal reported, citing an unnamed diplomat, that Li Hui should have called on Europe to cede to Russia the occupied areas in eastern Ukraine. That China is funny. Ukraine has repeatedly made it clear that it will not accept this. And former German Federal Foreign Minister Joschka Fischer told a German newspaper, it will be a painful ceasefire that will not satisfy either side. If at the end of the day Putin gets a confirmation in the direction of Crimea and some corrections in the east, and he has to present it as a success at home, it will certainly not be easy. Conversely, the Ukrainians will find it very difficult to make territorial compromises. And that point is the most important one. It was possible at the beginning of the war, until a massive amount of Russian war crimes started. That was the point from when Ukraine completely ruled out any territorial concessions. And if you want to know more about reports on different places all over the world, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.